Okay, our last segment for today, we're going to be discussing some options for chewing and swallowing problems. My first handout that I brought today is a very nice graphic handout about how swallowing problems happen and about what to do when you have swallowing problems. This is a very nice handout from a site of the company that makes the thickener called Thickeners. It's meant to be used in liquids for people who have swallowing issues. And I typically say I recommend this on the evaluation of a speech pathologist who does evaluations and can help determine what a safe consistency is for people who have swallowing issues. That could be for people who may have had strokes or other neurological diseases like Parkinson's disease, where thin liquid may cause what we call aspiration. So this is a very, very useful product. I bought this at Costco. Just this whole container was maybe about $7. It's pretty economical. You can find it at Costco and many other stores. And it's extremely easy to use. There's a little scooper right inside. The directions are all on here, but in the handout we have directions as well to use with any liquids to make it to the consistency that's indicated for safe swallowing. However, again, swallowing changes as time goes on for many reasons. As we mentioned, just malnutrition and muscle wasting can affect the muscles in your throat that propel food into our stomach. So just the fact that we're aging can cause swallowing problems, not to mention that chewing is impacted, as we talked about. But other neurological diseases like Parkinson's disease, other neurological diseases that can pop up, strokes, for example, can severely impact swallowing. So what to look for when people are having difficulty swallowing, they won't always freely admit. But I listen closely to people when they're eating or when they're drinking. Are they coughing after they eat or drink? Do they feel like food gets stuck here? I've had to actually go to doctors and let them know, listen, your patients aren't taking their medicines because they just get stuck. And, just swallowing pills can be difficult. And we have their medications changed to more liquid consistencies, or make sure that the medication they are taking is appropriate to be ground up by a pill crusher or a mortar and pestle. Not all medications can be used that way, especially extended release medicines. So in terms of chewing and swallowing, looking at issues with coughing after any kind of food intake, pocketing food, or just being afraid to eat is a profound sign as well of a swallowing problem. So this goes over the mechanics and the physiology of swallowing issues. It's pretty clear about how complicated swallowing is. We take it for granted, but perhaps those of you who've had babies, and remember when your little babies are starting to eat, and we're so careful about the foods that they eat, no hot dogs, no grapes, and they finally get that chewing and swallowing down. As teenagers, of course, we're not worrying about it because they can inhale a whole pizza at once and be fine. But it doesn't start out that way. It's a gradual process of both neurological development and motor development as well as muscle tissue. But in the same way, the other range of life, other end of life, it can deteriorate for different reasons. So this second handout goes over very clearly, as I mentioned, the use of the thickeners, how much to use in certain types of fluids, juices, coffee or tea even, nutrition supplement drinks, and whether you want that to be a nectar consistency, a honey consistency, or a pudding consistency. So these are very easy to use, very, very effective. And I'm going to leave this container here so that if you want to try and experiment with, I've had foods or fluids made with this, so I can experience it. And actually, it's very interesting how well it works, and so quick and easy. And the scoop that measures is right inside the container. So the third handout I have goes through an eating assessment sort of tool that may be useful with your patients that can help go through any signs or symptoms of swallowing issues. So it has a lot of questions about weight changes, how it may be interfering with their life, if it's painful to swallow, does food stick in your throat. They may not be forthcoming with this information, but if we go through this on a piece of paper for inquiring, just out of curiosity, we just want to make sure they're safe. This can prevent a lot of issues, and as we know, aspiration is a very big reason for pneumonia. So, and it's not just the food, it's even their saliva. That can be part of that. And on the back, again, red flags for swallowing difficulty. Again, cannot bite off a piece of solid food. Think about a steak. You know, it may be even difficult to even handle utensils to cut up food. That can be an issue too. Taking a long time to swallow, a hoarse voice after the swallowing, difficulty managing liquids, even nasal regurgitation. You know, food just stays here and even could come back through the nose. That can irritate a lot of the tissues in the oropharyngeal area. And again, difficulty taking medicine. So this is a good questionnaire to review and screen your patients for. It brings up a lot of questions that's sometimes hard to remember going over. And the fourth handout I have, I actually use this one quite a bit in practice because, believe it or not, some people think a dietitian is somebody who helps people lose weight. These days, a very big part of my practice is identifying and treating malnutrition, people who find it difficult to eat and maintain weight. So I actually give this to my patients to give them ideas and tips on how to increase their caloric intake by little easy ways, adding extra mayonnaise, putting extra butter on things, making your oatmeal and hot cereal with milk instead of water. Fortifying foods is what we did a lot in the hospital setting because people lose weight quickly in the hospital. So again, it's got a list of ideas to increase the calories without necessarily increasing the volume of food. And when we're trying to restore weight, I can't emphasize enough how much every bite counts. Now, I want to comment on this specifically because I also work in the eating disorder field. I work with a lot of patients with anorexia, with very low body weight. It's a very different field, but I do a lot of work in that space. And when we have people of a very low body weight going through eating disorder treatment, and we're trying to restore their weight, to restore weight, it takes a lot more calories than most can imagine. Because first of all, they become very hypermetabolic. They're cold all the time, so their body has lost the ability to thermoregulate, so they're losing a lot of calories as heat. And it's very difficult to eat too much food because of a long time of restricting, and their GI tract is very sluggish. So we need to really optimize the caloric density of all foods and fluids to meet their needs until they're at a steady state at a weight which is healthy, where their brain and their body works appropriately. So we use these approaches in many different areas, not just people who are older or who may have unintentional weight loss. So again, when we're trying to restore tissue of the body, it takes a lot more calories to build up than it does to maintain. So this may give some ideas to help meet those needs. Okay, any questions at all? We've been through a lot of information, relatively speaking, and in a little time, and I am very, very happy to be a resource for you. On this paper, on the back of this paper, is all of my contact information where you can find me, email, direct information. I'll leave some of my business handouts as well. So again, I know there's a lot of information that's not always correct or accurate out there. I deal with that quite a bit. I'm extremely happy to be a resource for you. So if you ever do want to give me a call or send me a note, please don't hesitate to. I'm very, very happy to help you out with how you care for your patients. So thank you for allowing me to take part in your program today.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.